Nivu എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നീ വിളിക്കുന്ന വിളിയല്ലേ? നമുക്കിവിടെ റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യാം അല്ലേ? യൂട്യൂബ് ഉണ്ട്, ക്ലൗഡ് ഒക്കെ ലോക്കലിൽ ഇപ്പൊ പോകുന്നു. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പേഴ്സണൽ മീറ്റിംഗ് ഈ സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ റെക്കോർഡ് അല്ലേ? Students, good morning. Nivedita.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good, doing great. How are you?
Yeah, equally good.
Great.
I think we can start off in another 2-3 minutes. Still, there are people joining in.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. So, Sheetal, I think
Yes,
we are
ma'am.
ready to go, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have around say 70 plus participants, and it's already 11. Yeah. So we can start off, Sheetal.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. So, who's an architect by profession and specializes in workplace planning and design. She's working currently as senior designer in Adrian's, a global workplace design company, and leads the design for Hyderabad studio. As a senior designer, she works on workplace strategy, concept planning, design development, material and furniture selection to overviewing the design during execution. So today, the topic she's going to discuss with us is an introduction to workplace design, a specialized field of interior design. Right from understanding the need of this specialized field, how is it different from other interior designs, and what are the common aspects between them? To some examples to understand the gamut of work, this talk will give an insight to all. So without further ado, I welcome Nivedita to this webinar. Hi, Nivedita.
Hello. Thank you so much for a sweet introduction.
Thank you. Thank you for joining with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be part of Cinder Bay and looking at young minds, young interior designers, aspiring for a career, you know. So this webinar, everyone, is to give you an insight of the field that I have been associated with for past 7+ years. So I believe, you know, all that you're studying, this webinar this whole talk should give you the idea of open up a whole new door of career. That is the main insight here, because it's a whole broad subject. It's very difficult to cover everything in an hour. Sorry. So I'll give you a glimpse of what workplace design is, and you know, I'll try and create the interest for this field. So any of you who find this as an interesting or a calling, as interesting and think that it is your calling, you feel free to reach out to us also. So let's get started. I'll share my screen, and I would request everybody to participate in this, because it's an interactive thing. I don't want to be talking about and giving you details, because when it's interactive, it's more, it will create a lot of interest in everybody, right? So hoping to hear from everyone. Are we good to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Swapna ma'am, would I be able to share the screen?
Yeah, of course, you can share the screen.
I think this is showing as disabled for me.
Just a moment, Give me a moment. What happened with this? Oh.
So while we are trying to get onto the screen, can anybody tell me about anybody who is aware of this, has done any sort of case studies, any idea that you have about a workplace? Do you guys know when I say workplace, what exactly am I talking about? We all know about it, I believe, but anybody speaking out about it? Would like to hear something to start. No one? Come on, guys. I have 70 participants in the call. I believe somebody would like to talk about what do you think a workplace is? Okay.
I think mainly focuses on
yes.
I think mainly focuses on boosting employees' morale.
Okay.
I think that's what I understand.
That's a very important aspect of a workplace design, for sure. Well said. Yes. So I would say it's everything to do when you're designing so when you design a residence, right? You're just not making a house of bedrooms, or you also think about how this place is gonna, how you are going to entertain your guest, how you're going to spend your personal time. There are a lot of aspects. So yeah, a workplace is basically the where people go for your work. So it's where you socialize, you meet people, where you work together, right? So in right now we are sitting in a pandemic, and it becomes a very crucial question, because people are working from home. So that's the exact opposite of working from office. So what our offices should be like in today's age is what we're going to discuss about. So yeah, we are good to share the screen. So let's get started without wasting any more time. Yes, so I guess everybody can see the screen.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
great. Yeah, do pitch in, do ask questions in between. I don't mind. Okay, let's make this interesting. Okay, so the topic today that we are going to cover in workplace design, it's basically an insight to what workplace design is all about. So we are going to we'll have an introduction session to touch base on what your understanding of a workplace is, and what is the current, when we say workplace, what do we really mean by it, right? So that is an introduction. We'll talk about a typical office and a workplace requirement. What is the design approach? Here we are talking about designing the space. So what is the typical or the most practiced design approach, I would say? Then what do we see in the industry standards, some latest trends in workplace design, and talk about some leading firms, and one case study to talk about, and then we'll close it with a small design activity for everybody. So yeah, let's talk about what the definition says. A workplace is a location where someone works for his or her employer, a place of employment. Such a place can range from a home office to a large office building or a factory. So I would say it's a place where you go to do your, where you earn your bread and butter. It can be your architect's office, your interior designing firm. It could be your bank. It could be any place where an individual goes and a set of people work on similar projects or same projects for a company's goal. So that's a place of interaction. And why is it so important? Now, if you realize, uh, you spend 8 to 10 or to 12 hours in this space. This is where and that too, you spend the most time when you're awake, because at home you sleep for 8 to 10 hours. So here what is important is that you need this space has to be well crafted and well designed for a person's well-being. And then when you're as interior designers, our idea is, what does the company want and what does the employee want? So we're talking about two people here, employer and the employee. The employer wants that people should be productive. That is where everything comes to. Plus, the employer wants that to make everything happen, there is a cost factor. That's this real estate, where you take a space, you build an office where people work, how to make it efficient. So there should be productivity and efficiency. These are the two things that is required. Whereas when you talk about employee who's going to work in this place, they're going to spend so much time in there. It affects their health, it affects their mental health, physical health. So how do you design the space so that that is well taken care of, and then they are also productive to the employer, right? So this is a simple way of understanding that why are we talking about a workplace design. So, and when we're talking about it, we're also talking about the role of a designer, that what do we really look at while when we are talking about workplace design, what should be our approach? What is the start point for this, right? Now, I need some mics to unmute and I need some answers here. So this is what do you see in the picture? Just anybody can tell me, what do you see in this picture?
Cubicles.
Right? So this is a typical office, you would say?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what you understand as a workplace. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now tell me, what do you see in the picture?
Office.
It's still an office, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And how is this different? This is on the left and the right, both are offices. But can you tell me just anything? Why is it looking so different?
So iPhone.
More
Apple
spacious.
spaces.
More spacious than the first picture.
Where would you like to work? Next question.
Second
Second.
picture.
On the right hand side, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, in the past 20 years, I would say, we have moved from our offices from being what is there on the left hand side to the offices which is now on the right hand side. So this is to set your expectation. Let's do of this presentation of what we're going to talk about, because I believe the left side picture is something that everybody of any generation, if you talk to them, if you ask them, this is what they imagine, right? And this is only about making spaces for people to sit and work, to keep their belongings, spend 8 hours on the desk, and then they walk out. But now the things have changed. And why? Is it just because we have more money, or there are more options? There are various reasons why offices have changed to something like this. And that is where we as designers have the whole process change of the way we think, the way we approach towards the place of design. And that is what makes a workplace design far more interesting than what it was before. So I hope I'm gaining some interest in here, right, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So let's talk of some interesting offices first as a start point. of getting into the details. So here are a few logos that you see. So when I say office, any company, whether be it an IT company, a bank, or a manufacturing, a factory, or a car company, anything, they will have offices, right? Apart from whatever they do, if they're a manufacturing, like a car company, I said, they will have the manufacturing unit, but they will also have their offices for all the documentation, paperwork, sales, marketing. So you need to understand that when we're talking about offices or a workplace, we're talking about all these companies, right? And what these companies do becomes a very, very important factor about how their workplaces are, because what the Ferrari company would do is different from what Google would do, right? The offices in Google, you'll have people sitting on a desk and developing on the softwares, whereas it's completely something else in another company or a banking sector, right? So all of these are going to be different. So let's dive in and see. Here are a few things. I hope you know all of these companies, right? Just tell me anybody who does not know any in any of these, any one or two that you're not aware of. Go on, tell me so that I can give you an introduction before we dive in.
Ma'am, the inverter hot one, like,
So you've not heard of WeWork, right?
yes, ma'am.
And rest everything everybody else knows, because we are going to dive into an exercise right now. I want everybody to, somebody to speak up or tell all the names so that others who are not aware might also know. And if I can tell the rest. Anybody can speak up all the names?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple, Amazon, Twitter, Google, and
Okay, so we got
And
6.
we
Yeah.
work as well.
Yeah. So
WeWork.
WeWork and Airbnb. So we are talking about 8 companies. So I think people would know 6 of it very well. Airbnb also, some people definitely would know. It's a company that belongs to the hospitality sector, and you have these places which people let out, their own spaces for people to, for travelers to stay, right? So it's just I'm giving an idea, because if in case somebody is not aware, because the next exercise will help you imagine what I'm talking about. And then WeWork is a American company.
American company.
Yes, and they provide spaces for anybody to work. You can lease a desk or an office, and it's about a community space. And one of the latest trends in workplace is about co-working spaces. So we'll get into those details further in the presentation. So WeWork is a co-working space where any office can have their office space. You don't have to create your own office, right? So yeah, going ahead, now you guys have to tell me. Yeah, there are 2 pictures. Now you saw the 8 companies that we spoke about. Now tell me which office is on the left and which is on the right. It's just a guessing game. Come on.
Ma'am, the right one is Apple.
Right. Yeah.
And guesses for the left?
The left one is Google.
Okay, let's see the answers.
Facebook.
Okay. So we got 2 here, Facebook and LinkedIn. Before we get into the next slide, I want you guys to take in the image and see why Facebook and why LinkedIn. What are, okay, we had a wrong guess, but I'm sure with time you will have more of right guesses, not to worry about that. But why? So let's talk about Facebook. In this picture, you see 2 people sitting and having a chit chat, right? I don't even see a laptop over there. And you see the colors, the kind of graphics that's there on the wall, right? Just keep on taking notes of these things in your head at least, right? And look at the right side picture. You see spaces where a variety of space for people to sit. You can use it for working, you can use it for discussing. There are an enclosed room, there is an open space. So that's what LinkedIn office looks like. And these are one of their leading offices, or either the headquarters or one of the very leading global offices. Here's another example, again from the list that we just discussed. Guesses? Facebook and LinkedIn is done. So we're not, there's no
The
report.
left one is Twitter's work office.
And
Okay.
right one, Amazon.
So yes, so quick you guys are with guessing the right names right now, right? So yes, again, sink in some of these things from the image, right? What Amazon, why Twitter, and why Amazon? What is the difference between the two images if you look at it, and what are the similarity again in between the two images, right? Try and take in some of these. I'll not highlight these things now. If you want, we can come back to these slides later, but it's just as a game that we're playing right now to absorb and sync. Again, guesses. We're done with 4.
The right one.
Apple. Right. Apple. Right
Okay,
one.
left one. Okay, left one.
Right one, yeah.
Sorry.
Left one, Apple.
Or right one is Apple.
Okay, we are not sure. Left or right is Apple. Any more guesses? One more company name for sure.
Left one, Apple.
Left
Oh,
one, WeWork.
WeWork.
Right.
so left one is WeWork and right one is Google. Okay, so let's discuss a little bit on this image. On the left one, we see a very nice bar counter with the coffee bar and everything right over there, right? And large seating spaces. Now, this is what a community space is when we talk about co-working spaces. Now, so this is something that I wanted you guys to think about, because we are not showing you places where people, a desk. This image does not show you desk. Although WeWork has offices and a lot of desk, I would say, but this is what this culture is about, of community spaces. That's what I was talking about, because here it's not one company. There are people from all different companies working together in their own spaces, as well as socializing with other people and their own teammates. While on the right side, what you see, it's very interesting. It's trying to make people comfortable in different way, rather than just giving them an option for a desk. We'll get into these details. So here is the final 2 images. So everybody who's been expecting Apple to be a very smart office sort of, Apple goes very, very like their products. What do you guys say?
Yes.
And the other one is obviously Airbnb. So here we are done with our very small exercise of trying to know how the famous big companies and how their offices are, right? I hope this gives you a good introduction. Now, okay, now I'll do the talking part, and let's get into the details to understand where to start from, how to approach, and how to create such nice, interesting spaces, right? So the first thing that when you start off for designing a space for a company, there are certain things that becomes the fundamental or the basics to start with. Is what do they want? So every company will have their own spatial requirement, like whether they want how many workstations they want and how many meeting rooms they want. These are basic things. So those requirements will definitely come from either come or you have to develop. That's the second part we'll talk about. But the first thing that for this talk I have collected is what are the different spaces that is typically there in a workplace. So there is a reception. We also call it as an arrival space, because that is where your employees come in, that is where your customers will come in. So it's a showcase space. So it's called as an arrival space because that is where your journey or the experience of the space begins, right? So that's the first. Then there are work desk spaces, or the work areas, or the cabins. So whether it be in the open space that you have a desk, or it could be enclosed cabins that people or a senior management would occupy. Then there are meeting rooms, conference room, training rooms. Then there are open collaboration spaces. So not all meetings would require a TV screen or a confidentiality. It's just, say, a group wants to discuss together. But if you would do that on your work desk, you would disturb other people. So there has to be a space which is a little far away from the desk, but yet not, you don't need to build a lot of meeting rooms for every smaller discussions, right? So there are open collaboration spaces. Then there are the facilities that you need, that is a coffee, right? Coffee, water, some snacks to have. So breakout areas, pantries where you can have your lunch or a meal. So those are those coffee points. Then there are technical rooms. Now, these are the spaces that employees would use, right? But how to make this office functional and running? So you need all the services. So UPS room, server room. Server room is where you keep all your racks. The IT racks are placed, and there are many other rooms that looks after the functioning of the building, the technical part, right? So I've just listed a few. There's a long list there. Then there are other support facilities that you would require, like storerooms. So storerooms for keep your stationery, for to keep your pantry related things, for you will have an IT store. So there are various requirements depending on company to company. And then you would require printing bays, right? So there are printer bays and some other support things that you would require. Apart from that, like I said, in an office, you spend so much of time. There are other things that you would require as amenities, like the prayer room or a wellness room where you can take a short nap, or the mail room where the whole office with, so many people, 500,000, the office space can start from a 5-seater to a 5,000-seater office. So the more the number, the more the amenities or the support is that would be required. Next would be a cafeteria with a kitchen and a back house. It could be with a full functioning kitchen. That is where it's like, the F&B plays a very big, the food and beverages industry has a very big role to play in the office design if it has a fully functional cafeteria with a kitchen there where there is cooking happening, right? There are also cafeterias where only food is heated and served, or somewhere only it's only a eating space, and there is people get their own lunch box, and there's nothing else served apart from some tea or some snacks, like more on, I would say, a bakery sort of a place, maybe. And then a recreation space like games room. And this requirement is like a basic requirement. If you have to think of an office space, if you ever get to do a space like this is what your start point could be. Now there are more than this. There could be a lot of some people go for, in games room, it could be, not just a TT table or a foosball, but a lot more games can be done. And then you can have a, if permitted, if you're not only while I'm talking about these places, I'm talking only about interior designing of the space, where you're given a space and you need to plan that space. I'm not talking about the architecture part of the space, right? Then there are specialized requirements. So specialized requirements means some places, offices will have labs and data centers, or space where they do some presentations, or innovation spaces where there are people use some equipments, do some small testings and things like that. Then there are help desk areas like an IT help desk. And so there could be a lot of different specialized requirement for an office space. And at least for the time being, you can imagine these big offices that we just discussed about, and imagine these spaces that you need to plan for them. And this is a basic requirement that I'm talking about. But like when we talk about the interior of the space, there is something that you would actually require, and usually comes as the existing or the base building that we call as. That would be your toilets, your lift lobbies, AHU rooms, which is air handling units, where the HVAC system works from, and the electrical panel room and the staircases. So there are a lot of base build facilities that would usually be existing. If not, you need to incorporate that. But I would say let's keep that aside and focus on these requirements for now. So yeah, I hope we are till now. Is there any questions? Anything that anybody has any doubts about, or anything we want to discuss about? Okay, I think we are good to continue then. So now how do you approach this, right? We are looking at 2 floor plans right now. Let's talk at the smaller one first, right? It is a smaller office where you see a desk with 2 visitor desks, right? It's more like a cabin. And then you have few workstations where individual people can sit with their own systems. There's a meeting room with a 4-seater, and there's a space where people can have a casual discussion. Then I'm coming from the right to the left, and then on the left hand side, you have the entrance where there's a reception and 2 space for waiting, and a toilet in the space. and a small niche for a pantry beside the toilet. So this is what could be done in a very smaller space as well. And this is also your workplace. So do not undermine workplace as that a smaller office says, oh, we are not designing a space. The functionality, every principle that we talk about at a basic level has to be understood even to design a space like that. So I took that smaller example to get the orientation right. Now, when you have to multiply it to number of employees, number of cabins, then let's look at the left-hand side. So how do you approach here, I would say? So you need to, basically you have these requirements, right? That you need X number of workstations and so many cabins. Then there is, okay, how many meeting rooms would you require? Because basically it's like you need 100 workstations and say 10 cabins. That's what the office requires. What about the rest of the spaces? You might not be even, your client might not tell you what else they require. Now that is where you, being part of this industry, we do so many offices. There are industry benchmarking that we do. Like, for an IT company, this is the amount of collaboration or meeting that they would require to do on a daily basis. So there is a ratio, like for 100 employees, what do we need? If it's a 1:5 ratio, so for every 5 employee, we need 1 meeting room seat. So how many 4-seaters, 6-seaters, 8-seaters, 10-seaters? These are all calculations that could be done. These are very simple calculations, and we develop a requirement sheet, and then we start planning the space. It's simple. We're all designers. We know how to plan a space. Just there are small principles that I would highlight here. So we are talking about and why those principles, I would say. We are talking about a space where people have to be productive, where they have to be comfortable working in that space for such a long time. It has to be convenient for them. It's not that they should, when I say convenient, if there's a lot of, you're making somebody sit next to the glazing there on the western side. So there's a lot of glare, even the blinds would not work over there. And the person has to sit there for 8 hours. Imagine the heat produced in that space. Then there is the HVAC system controlling the whole, the cooling of the space or heating in some regions. So all of these are aspects that needs to be taken into consideration. So let me say it like this. If you're planning a house, you look at the climatological factor, you do that study, and then you plan the house. It's the same principle that you would utilize for planning an office space. So where you put your workstations and how do you maximize the natural light, yet keep them away from the glazing. These are some of the basic things to start with. Then every building will have its, say, this core, right? This is the building core, which is already built. This is the facade that is there. And the central space is what you have where you get to build everything, right? And these are the lift lobbies. So from the lift lobby, there are 2 entrances, one on the top, one at the bottom. So you need to decide where would you create your reception, the right space for creating the reception. How would you line up? When you enter into a reception, you need visitors coming in whom you do not want to enter into the whole office. So how do you place some meeting rooms nearby? So these are the small principles of the planning. Now, we will not get into the details of the planning. What I want you to understand here is just try and take in that what are the general office requirements, and how would you can do this exercise yourself of planning, taking a small requirement, understanding, or just take few of these flow plans from the internet and study how they are planned so that it is very functional, being basic. Let's not get into much of this discussion because we have a case study to cover where we can look at those things. Coming next to the design, right? So we now spoke about the planning thing, right? Where we're talking about the requirement. We talked about the climatological factor, the functionality of the space, and that is how you plan. Now, planning being a very, very major aspect of your workplace design. But what you saw a few pictures of the offices, very famous companies, and they are now known as the workplace trend setters. Their offices are something that every other office wants to be like. Reason one, employees are so attracted to those offices that others want to create similar offices and attract similar talent into their company, right? So that is now what creates. Is it just the planning? No. Planning, comfort, your services, all of these were one thing. Now, how do you make those offices, why Google is Google the way it is, or why Airbnb looked the way it was, or Twitter, and the difficulty of identifying them. So it's not just that you are planning an office and don't tell me the name of the company. I just go take the requirement, build it, plan it, build it, and give it to off. And then somebody else comes, it becomes their office. No, that is where it becomes in today's day. And I will go back to referring the picture that I showed you before, that there were just white cubicles around, that's just an office. Anybody can sit there and work. But now companies are about their identity, and they have their, the way they do marketing is because they want clients, they want talent. There are two things that they look for marketing. Offices are placed to attract talent, and it gives also an image to their customers, their clients. So offices, how they are built, is also a marketing thing. So it's very important that the space that you build belongs to the company, right? So what are the things that will make a space belong to that company? First thing, their brand guidelines, which covers their brand values, their core values, and their color palette, everything that they would use to create their website, to create their marketing credentials, everything. Now that this living and breathing office space is their space to create that brand identity. So a very, very important aspect of that. Now, when we are given a set of requirement for a particular company, how do we approach it? I'll tell you about that. So first, understand what the company is about. What do they do? What is their work culture? What are their needs, right? Then we would want to understand what is the demography of the company. Like when I say demographic of the company, I mean, what is the work crowd? Are there more of Gen Z people like you who are just, fresh talent coming into the company, or they are more onto the Gen X? So what is that ratio? You will always have a mix for sure. And because the mindset also tells you where are they more comfortable working. Then some companies, they are more into production, or say some are like, customer support. They're always on calls. They don't need open offices with so much of noise, everybody speaking on phone. So you need to understand these requirements first. So understanding company is the most important thing. The second thing is, like I said, understanding their standards, their business type, what do they do, what is their people who are working around. And the third thing is that to understand their core values. Now, why is so important is core values. Why do a company has its core values? Now, that is what ties the company together. That is their aim, that is how they work. It sets a standard for the company. And if that reflects on how you design the space, that makes the identity belong to the company, that space that you're designing. Yes, we can discuss a lot on this. If you have any questions, you can ask me about this. But it's a chapter, it's a whole set of chapter, I would say. But that's why I just wanted to give you a glimpse. Now, if you look at the right side, the evolution of the employee, it talks about past and future comparison, right? So this is what has changed, is what I would talk about. So when we're trying to understand what a company is about, what their core values are, what are their business type, we also need to see how the work trend in overall, irrespective of a company or an industry, have overall changed. Now, this is something that I'll quickly talk to you about. Is like the work timings, now how they have changed, the spaces that you can work anywhere now, the companies from desktops to laptops to iPads, the Wi-Fi to cloud, where you can access your files from anywhere. These are the reasons why the work trends have changed so dramatically, right? That is on the technology or the space part. Now, cultural part. People have understood that it's a employee driven culture right now. So it's not what the employer says, it's what the employee needs. So those cultural shifts have also played a very major role in how these spaces, office spaces are supposed to be these days. So yeah, I mean, there are certain other factors like that, which has been the key factor of the whole change that you have seen now in the offices that were 20 years back and the offices that we're seeing today. So talking of all of this, if you have any questions right now, I'm okay to take before we dive into the next part of it. So basically, this slide I would just tell you about and ask you, what do you think of, does this give you a clearer picture about how do we start thinking about designing a space? I have just given you till now we are talking about a space as a, trying to understand what an office space is about and how would you approach towards designing this space. Now the next segment is about understanding the different workspaces, the different cultures, everything that we discussed about. We'll get into those details. So anybody, any questions until now? I hope I'm not going very fast and I am making sense to everybody.
Ma'am, while designing a space and for the employees, we have to ask, we have to take their opinion, right? Before
Right.
design. Yeah.
Correct. Right. It's a very good question. See, what happens is these days, it's not just about the management giving us a set of requirement and we design the space. We, even if it's not a full-fledged thing, we will definitely try and do a survey that will be floated towards, if not all the employees, at least the team leaders, I would say, something that is a middle level of the employee base, who knows all their requirement, understand the office better. So we take their feedback. There is a set of questions that we ask. It's called the workplace strategy part of that. That is a workplace survey done. There are questions and interviews done with the senior management of what vision they have for the company, or where do they see themselves in 20 years down. And similarly, we ask employees, like, what do you want? How do you want? What do you do? Because for us, everybody is different. Every work culture is different. So for us to understand, we do have to ask those questions. So that's a very important part of initiating this. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, I'll just move forward and I'll take throw in some more ideas and we'll look for more participation in the next segment, right? So yeah, let me not talk about this slide. Can anybody unmute and tell me, what do you see? What do you understand here? Because there are pictures, there are words. Now you can explain me from this. Come on, guys.
Students,
It's a different kind of meeting room according to their needs.
Okay. So what do we see? We see different kind of furniture. How are they different? Can you guys tell me?
Yeah, like on the second picture, they are using a bar stool.
Right.
And the third one is like a cushion chairs.
Right.
And the fifth one is like an individual cabin.
Right. So we are right now looking at a picture where a person is not at its work desk, your workstation, right? You're not sitting there, but you spend a lot of your day in any of the space. Am I right?
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah. So now this picture is something for you to understand that when we talk about a workplace, the majority of the space is not about workstations where you sit and work. What is the whole culture these days, or the requirement of the employees that I just explained to you about, the difference or the shift in the work culture, is about the different things that you need to do in the office, So you need to discuss, you need to share things, you need to present on a video, or you need to have a virtual call, like right now we are doing, right? So you need to get onto a call on a webcam and have a video conference with somebody sitting in US while you are sitting in India, or any part of the world. That is to be done. You need to have some friendly discussion just on your laptop, get in touch with your team and understand what you need to do, or you need to write it on a board and discuss, brainstorm. So there are different things that a team would require to do. And I'm not just talking about the IT sector here, the percentage of these activities will change from sector to sector. But largely, you would require to be doing some focused work every day and some collaborative work every day. So remember, when you are talking about an office space, we are talking about different activities. One is to do some focused work. The other is to collaborate, whether be it formal collaboration or an informal collaboration, right? Then third is to socialize, where there's a coffee point, where you socialize, where you interact with your employees, your colleagues, and discuss on a cup of coffee. And then this is where the employees function or utilize the space. And then we have all the support functions. So your space has to be divided into those. So this is something that I would say is your zoning diagram, that I would say that you would start your approach from, and look at the variety. So this slide is just about the different kind of activity that a person would do in an office space. Now I would get into a little, getting into the part of what an workplace design is. Is it only about interior planning, the interior designing? When you get into this field, what do you expect from it? Now, this creating a workplace is not only a role or not only the job of an interior designer or a planner, right? There has to be the MEP design. So you have to work as a team in partnership with the MEP designers, that is the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So it will look after your the cooling and the heating systems, the HVAC system, all the electrical lighting systems, and your all the plumbing would include your toilets and pantry counters where there's a wash point or any of those sanitary requirements that would be there. IT and security design. Now that is something very, very, very important in a workplace design, which you would see, that's a dominant part, I would say, because if you go to hospitals or you go to hotels or residences, it will have a minimal requirement, but offices are all about confidentiality, security. Even getting into the office, you need an access card, or you have to register or your visitor, all of these things. So IT and security is very important part or a discipline, and you have to work in tandem with them. Sustainability. So now this age, we are all talking about, not just this age, I would say, but this is the calling that we all need to look forward. While we are building spaces, we are creating spaces, we cannot overlook the need of sustainable environment. And sustainability is not about what you do outside or when you build a building or an architecture per se. It's very important how the sustainability factor is considered in designing these interior spaces. More importantly, because the architecture might stay, the building might stay for 20 years, 50 years or so. But interior spaces, they change in 5 years' time, because either the lease agreement will end and there's another company coming in. So you will, either remodel it or demolish it and build it again. So if you do not consider the sustainability aspect, you are doing a very big, it's the wrong direction, I would say. So when I talk about sustainability, you'll ask me, what do you mean when we're talking about sustainability? Is it just about adding a plant? No. That's not the thing. The materials that you use for construction of the space is also, whether they're locally procured, and what is the VOC content, like we say, with what emission does it have. So there are a lot of, so that's the whole sustainable team that would do this, right? I'm not saying that the interior designer has to know about it in detail, but yes, be aware of the materials that we choose. And yes, there's a sustainability team that would be assisting you in, taking the whole project and judging about what and where it stands, right? Then there is acoustics. So very, very important, because you're in an open office and there's a disturbance of one person being on call or two people discussing about something. So acoustics is very important part of your office design. And lastly, it's a graphic design. Graphic design covers most of the branding. So when I said, we spoke about why Facebook is Facebook and why Twitter looks Twitter, is because of this. Not only how you design the space and what color theme you pick, but graphic plays a very, very important role, right? And it can not only be something which is 2D on the wall and you forget and you just walk past it. It can also be interactive, right? Where you make people make puzzles, and which keeps changing. It's dynamic, so very, very important role to play. So all these teams, all these designs would come together to actually build an office space. A workplace design would actually be a amalgamation of all of these. Now, coming next, I'm talking about the standards. So these are things that you guys already know, but let's not forget that the NBC, you have to be very, very aware of what are the rules and regulations in general, regarding your cities, what are the regulations that are required, because fire norms change from place to place. So NBC gives you a general guideline. You need to know your local guidelines as well. So your spaces are designed basis that. I'll give you a small example. You see this picture on the left hand side. There are desks placed and there's a passage, right? So why do you think there is a rule behind this, or do you think it's just a random planning? Let me tell you that the passage width that you see in the space cannot be less than 1200. That is a 4 feet distance, 1200 mm, which is 4 feet, because that is the fire requirement that a person during fire has to exit. So what is the farthest point of the floor space to the fire escape staircase? That is your NBC fire requirement that it says. Similarly, at what height the light is installed, you know? So there are everything that comes from standards. And as and when you dive into this whole aspect of designing, you will not only understand the planning, but all the standards and all the design streams will come together to make the space, I would say, you know, following as per all the standards, and you're fulfilling the space requirement. So the last one is the LEED certification or WELL certification that takes care of the sustainability part. Not necessary that every office or every company would go for it. You can, even if you're not going for a certification, you can still practice and follow the sustainability aspect, I would say. Yes, so now we are, now focus on this, because this will give you the understanding of how why Google is different from Apple, I would say. These differences are, we would be discussing it right now over here, and this is where your final activity will do for, say, last 5 minutes. So I would like you to take this, understand this part to do the next activity, right? So these are the different work cultures. Now we spoke about all the different kind of industries, IT and hospitality, banking, all these industries that are there. So how, in those are general language, right? In our workplace design, we use this language of identifying what is the work culture. And that is what the present trends, I would say, that is there. So the first one on the left hand side, the picture that you see, that's a traditional work culture where people work mostly on their desk and they discuss in the meeting rooms. So you don't need, and they're mostly fixed, right? You would spend your 8 hours working on your desk and get into a meeting room, discuss with your colleague and come out, right? So you need, you work on, I would say, you need desktops to work on, you need phones to be on calls. That is the work culture. So it's called a traditional work culture. And that is what a traditional work culture office would look like. The B picture is where we are talking about collaborative work style. This is where you do have the, you will definitely and always have a desk to work on, an employee to work on, but not necessarily that you would be assigned to the desk. It could also be unassigned desking in some cases, where we'll go to that. That's the C part, where we are talking about the unassigned desking. So in B, what we see is where there is workplaces, but not the space, the office space is not populated with only meeting rooms and workplaces, but we have a variety of collaborative spaces, because this work culture is where you do a lot of discussions, right? So if so it's about where you work on more on teams, or you work on projects where you need to work together, pull out your sheets, you know, where you cannot do everything on your desk. So it's about that's what a collaborative work culture is, and that's how an office space would you know, and it's not about the look and feel I'm talking about. You know, when I say look and feel, whether what kind of ceiling it has or what kind of flooring it has, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of planning you would require to do for that space, right? C image is about activity-based working and a progressive work culture. What is, yeah, what is the activity-based working? Like I said, is where you need not have a work system and you need not have a desk assigned to you that you go there, sit every day on that same desk, put your things inside the pedestal. No, you can put your things in the locker. You can have a locker assigned, and you choose to work any place, right? You can work in a enclosed room, focus for the day, but tomorrow the next day's work is to discuss with somebody and not do a focused work. So it is called as activity based working, where the work style is based on what activity you're doing. It is not about just an individual, but also what one team works like and what the other team would work like, you know. So that is what an activity based working office would be planned in some sort. Again, don't go by the colors or anything. That is again a reflection of the company. So yeah, just overlook on the look and feel of the space. Coming to D, agile work style and innovation work style. Now, most of these tech companies like Google would fall under the category of agile work style and innovative work culture, because they don't need, they are more about innovation and thinking. And again, what I'm saying, I'm talking about the majority work culture. There are still people who would do a back end work or do a lot of focused work or need desktops. So yeah, there are, every company will also have. Okay, yeah. So continuing, we're talking about the agile work style, where people need to have a free flowing thinking mind to sit anywhere and work wherever they want. So yeah, that is about the agile work style. And the fifth one is what you see is a co-working work style. So co-working is where you will have these large community spaces where people can socialize, can collaborate, can also work like activity-based working, but they have individual offices, enclosed offices. So a company and a B company working in this space, because it's a co-working space, will have their confidentiality and, you know, their privacy that they require, and they can book rooms. You know, there are meeting rooms in a common pool where you need to book those rooms and you use. So you will get all the technology over there, and you also get the privacy. But since there are a lot of offices working out of this space, you have large community spaces here. And that was the example we discussed initially on WeWork. That's the kind of a co-working space. And a lot of startup companies either work out of co-working spaces, or the work culture for startup companies are similar to the co-working space, I would say. So yes, this is the 5 of the current trends in the work culture, and that drives a lot of how you would plan out your office space. We discussed about how you plan your space. We discussed about how you plan how the space has to look like. So 2 things which actually, and what are the different standards or different design streams that come together to create the space. Here are, so before we get into the case study part and the small activity, this is just a glimpse of some of the global firms. We'll skip this part because you can always research on this part and reach out to us. This is a quick link. Ma'am, can you tell me about the time limit? Because I would want to, do we have enough time to get into this, or?
Yeah. Don't worry, Nivedita, you can carry on. We don't keep such a strict time limit and all. We just need to start by 11. Students will be fine. They enjoy it.
Okay. I hope they're enjoying it. So I'll take some more time, because
yeah,
this
we
is
will need some responses from them. Anyway, they'll come back to you during the Q&A.
Yes, sure. Yeah. So this is a very interesting case study that I would want to run through. Basically, let me take you to this case study part. Yeah. So this is the Airbnb office in Gurgaon. The space was designed by Space Matrix and completed in 2018. It is a 7,000 square feet approximate space. Now, why I chose this space for the case study is I wanted you people to understand that, you know, we talk, it's a very unique project. And why unique, I'll tell you. And that is what, there are certain aspects about this which at the end I'll tell you why it makes into, you know, a very good case study, I would say. This space, so Airbnb, as I told you in the introduction part, that it's a company that is where you know, people give out their properties for renting, or not renting, for a stay, for a short stay, for people on vacation. You can go and stay in any part of the world, book a house or a room or a flat or any kind of property through Airbnb. It's the concept of bed and breakfast, basically, that this company came up with, and they have in their property listing. You can list your property and they have it anywhere in the world, basically. Yeah. So that's what this company is about. Now, this is their company. This is their identity. This is what their philosophy is. Now, how do you create an office space that tells that this is Airbnb, and yet it is functional? It is, makes people productive, makes people come to work every day, enjoy being at a workplace, enjoy being talking to their colleagues, doing the work, all of these things that we spoke about, or the end result that we are expecting here. This is what it is about, right? So if you talk about so yes, let's start about what the space was initially, right? So Airbnb took this space, which was an industrial warehouse. It was not a regular office building. It was an industrial warehouse. So they wanted to retain this industrial look of the space and not, model it to look something different. They wanted that. At the same time, they wanted it to be Airbnb, their brand guidelines and their company guidelines. So now Airbnb has offices across the world. They have a global standard, and the offices do, what are the global standards? I'll give you an idea of that, but they want that similarity, something to tie up all of that. Every Airbnb office should look like an Airbnb office. But again, this is in India. This should also look like an Indian office. We are also talking about the industrial space of the industrial warehouse that it is being built on. So how all of these identities were, brought in together to create this space and make it a space that employees love. So what was the approach? The first thing that I would talk here about is the company's brand philosophy that says belong anywhere, right? So it's about, that's because they are, when we talk about Airbnb, we basically think about, you think about Goa, you think about a nice Portuguese style house, and not just, that's where you would want to go and stay if you're booking through Airbnb, and not go for a hotel. That's what they stand out for, right? So the same way, when you talk about they wanted to create their office, that sense of belonging is very, very important. And that had to reflect in the space, right? The other thing was the local culture, that it's in India. So what are the smaller details that I would pick and make it look Indian? That's the other thing. You see the bamboos on the ceiling as a light fixture. So we are also talking about here, they've also tried to bring in the natural, while we're keeping the industrial feel of that is there of the roof, the above ceiling part, the use of brick. So now I'm actually getting into how, after planning out, this is a case study, I would say, and where we will also discuss, we'll discuss about the planning aspect here, but not in detail, but more about how we create these offices basis whatever we discussed, the brand, the approach, the company, the core values, everything, I would say. How are we doing that? So let's look at some more pictures and look at that, right? So here it's a socializing space that we spoke about, right? It's called the chai bar. Look at the printed tiles that's being used, right? The variety of seating that you see in the space. Do you see the bamboo facade of the space? Now it's a meeting room. You can have a general meeting room with a glass partition and be done with it. Look at the whole difference in approach that Airbnb had, and the design team thought about it. So inside, it's a regular meeting room. We'll have your writing boards and TV screens and tables and chairs, but outside it looks like you are in a nice space outside and not inside an office. So yeah, smaller details like these. Yeah, this is another side, and where again the use of bamboo, the use of plants, the use of polished concrete on the floor, the wood texture. So a lot of these elements are inspired from nature, making it more local. And one important thing that they do is, now Airbnb wanted their office to look quirky, right? But at the same time, it had to be functional, and it had to be basis their international standards. They're all global offices to have the same theme. Not same theme, but they do have, it's not necessarily everybody, but Airbnb has this theme of their meeting rooms to be themed or modeled basis any of their prominent listings. So that's what Airbnb calls these spaces that you take on that you book for staying, they're the property listings. So sometimes you can book a large villa, beachside villa. So some of these very prominent listings is what is the theme for having their meeting rooms. And that is a global standard for Airbnb. Now that is what was done even for the Gurgaon office, where there are themes like a meeting room theme basis Goa, or another is basis Kuala Lumpur. So there are certain themes that they've done. So you see how quirky it is, and yet they've met all their functional requirement. Look at the motifs on the wall, right? The printed tiles. And again, look at the variety of spaces that you get to sit and work, or to collaborate, or to discuss, right? So that variety of space is there, and the language that is going around. Now, my idea here is for you to look at the spatial requirement, the functional requirement of a workplace, and how the space design can bring out all those things that we spoke about, meeting the cultural requirement, the young crowd, making it productive, people wanting to come to office, making the company's brand speak. It's their marketing tool as well, how their offices is not just a place of work, but also the marketing strategy, right? All these put together, look at these spaces and what justice do they do. So see the variety of spaces. There's a workstation behind, there's a discussion space, open discussion space here. And then for more confidential meetings, you have the enclosed meetings, and how these spaces are themed differently. They have a very subtle color palette. You see the color of wood and the chairs and the sofa, and the walls. They're very subtle with the brand, the theme of the brand that is going around here. See how they have utilized the industrial space. Now they have because it was an industrial space, it was an industrial warehouse, there was a good height that they had. Now this is something they took to the opportunity. They created this interesting nook here where, again, it's an informal collaboration space, and above it, beneath it, and such an interesting space to have inside an office. Look at those duck-in spaces. Those are small nooks where it's so cozy inside. You can either take your laptop, go inside, do your work, right? Or take a magazine, sit and work, read over there. So many options and variety of spaces that they created in only 7,000 square feet space. That's because, and if you realize, I'll just go back to the previous image. It's about best utilization of the space. Sometimes that nook, we can have 2 meeting rooms there, but by just making 1 meeting room and the space here, you're giving them a variety. Yes, there are some more images to talk about the thing that we spoke about, the theme that they have. So there are different rooms with different look. It's basically like I said, a room theme would be Goa, something would be some other space basis that, right? Very subtle. Keeping the industrial look intact, keeping the quirkiness of the space, the light use of color. See how the additional details of the space is there, and the wood, the usage of that. Yeah. So this was a short case study I wanted you to go through. For all of you, this is for information. The officesnapshots.com is a website where you will find thousands and thousands of office spaces across the world, globally. Their office, what is the design philosophy of the space, and some pictures to understand that. So you guys want to, you can also browse this through there. I can show you somewhere here where you can browse it through the size of the office or the industry sector that we talk about, that there's so many different sectors. That way you can search them. You can search them by countries, cities. You can also search them basis spaces. Let's talk about workspaces. There are different workspaces that we talk about, right? So then there are meeting spaces. So you can take your time someday, go through this website. This will give you a lot more idea about workplace design, and let's see how much interest you're getting in this specialized field of interior design. So yes, we are coming to the last part, and I would want people to unmute. This is not something I would want, everybody to actually look at these pictures and pick one picture, everybody, where you would want to work and why. That's a very simple exercise that I'm giving, right? So I want everybody to look at these pictures, uh, pick one, decide, pick one, and pick one basis what do you like about the space, considering you have to work in this space. What is it that is, um, and then describe the space. First you pick that basis your choice, and then tell me what is unique about the space, what do you like about the space, and being designers, what is the designer's eye talk about the space? What is it about it? Is it talk about the materials, the spatial utilization, the lighting? I want few of you to talk about it. Ma'am, if you could help us here.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So students, you have an option to unmute. Instead of me calling your names, I think it would always be better to volunteer. So other than Bustana, I want someone to speak. And Bustana and Abel. Yeah, Shuchita, you can speak.
Also, feel free to ask me any questions while we are doing this exercise, right? So that will help you understand better anything that we have discussed so far. To feel free to ask.
Shuchita, you have unmuted. Can we hear you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I feel the middle one, orange, white one, is a better workplace because of the vibrant colors and comfort zone that creates to work.
Okay. So what in this space, can you elaborate a little bit more about what is this space? Did you understand what the space is?
It's like an individual comfort zone of an individual that you can work in a private, like anything like that.
Okay. And
Who
can you
wants to
tell me
work
what is
there?
the theme? What sort of, is it a theme based space you think?
Yes, ma'am. It's like a theme based.
Okay. Nice to know. Anybody else? We want a lot more people speaking.
Nitish?
Ma'am, it's Girish.
Yeah, Ganesh.
I like the first one because it's like it's a ceiling height is very high and lots of natural lighting in that, and they
Good
use
point.
cushions in the left side, and it feel like a work at home like feel. That's
Yeah. Few more points. There is a lot of advantage on this picture I would want to hear about. Anybody else can talk about. Anybody else who feels that they would want to work in this space? What are your points?
Alicia? Alicia, we want to hear you.
Ma'am,
Yeah, Shadia. Yes.
I think I like the last one.
The bottom one?
Yeah, last one.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of natural light, and also there's a full of natural friendly. I just feels like there are more green things in that, and it's like a private place also. We can work ourselves, and also we can talk with our friends and in make a meeting and all those stuff. And yeah, it's a good place and a good place to walk uh, through that. And they used a lot of wooden texture over there. And yeah.
Good one. Right. Few more. We have more pictures. Somebody else having
Sharika?
liking towards any other picture?
Sharika?
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah, who's this?
Yes, Salman.
Yes, Salman.
Ma'am, I am also looking the one orange white middle one bottom. It's looking like peaceful and cool. The lights and wall art looking peace. Chairs are very nice. Sitting in the cushion, very good. That one, madam. I'm looking peaceful and calm, sitting there. That's also the white, uh, the white curtain model. India are coming very looking beautiful.
Right.
That's also.
Nice.
Okay.
So we have votes for 3 spaces. Now this is where our architects, our designers are willing to work, right? These 3 spaces, is it? No, we don't have any votes for these 2 and this space.
I think Kritika wants to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I like the one in the first row, middle one, second one.
This one?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Tell me what you
Um,
like in this picture.
Actually, it's like an individual space.
Hmm.
But the wooden texture with the what is this light colored cushions makes us
Hmm.
feel quite calm. And if like what is it? If I feel lonely, I can also have someone like my friend or my colleague, my another colleague, to give me company. So that I like that space. I can also
Nice.
work as an individual, and if I need some company, I mean, if I need a friend or a colleague, I can also have one in the same space.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Abin, you have to say something?
I like the workspace, the bottom row, middle one, and the left corner. The middle one is almost feel like we are sitting with the friends in a tent, and more like a where we could interact and with others, share our thoughts, share our ideas. Feel free to share our ideas and all. Um, and on the left corner,
This one? Yeah.
yeah, and it's a conference hall, right? And people go, and it's more comfortable. It doesn't feel like an office. Um, it doesn't make you feel congested, and the space and how it is created doesn't make you feel stressed or congested feeling. No, it doesn't give that. I like that.
Right. Nice.
Afreen? Afreen, you have some points to give here? Reshma? Reshma Jai?
Till now, we've not got any vote for this formal meeting room space here. Anybody for this one? I would want to know some points for this picture, if anybody likes this.
Is there anyone watching for that? You can unmute, speak. Princey, what do you say? Sagar?
So guys, here we are not only talking, the idea is not you to pick a space because that's the only space you would want to work here. You also look at the colors that's being used. Like everybody spoke about these spaces, you know, somebody likes the color, somebody would prefers the natural light, somebody prefers the greenery of the space. So yes, the idea here is to, for all of you to look at, I personally feel all of these spaces are awesome, right? I would love to work in all of these spaces. Now, every space has something to offer to me, right? Sometimes I want a very formal setup to sit and present. Sometimes I want, like for presentations, I would use this room. Whereas for, when I want to brainstorm with my colleague, on a project, we want to discuss a schedule together, I would use this space, I would say. So every space has its way of utilizing. So let's come to the same pictures, different activity. What do you think a designer's or an architect's or a designer's office you think are the spaces that is required? Is it all of these? I want to know, we've talked a lot about the technology companies, right? So somebody speak about how do you think these spaces will get utilized if it's a designer's office, or do you think something should go off this list?
Yeah, Pransi. Pransi, we can't hear you. It's echoing also from your end. Anyone else? From where is this echo coming?
Okay, I don't think people are tired. Is it? Tell me.
What is it to be tired? You are doing the speaking, not them. So where is Afreen? Where is Sagar? Arun? Why all of you are on mute today? What happened?
Ma'am, I think in the bottom right corner space.
Bottom right. Yes.
It's more like an individual space. People design, even for a designer's office, I think more interactive space is needed.
Okay.
Working alone is.
So your point is that we would rather have a space like this where people do sit and work, and
sit and work, and as well as and if you get
space.
use a space.
Okay, well taken. And you think this kind of nooks are good for a designer's office? How would you use it? Will you use it for your working or for discussing?
I'm discussing. Then if you want to take a break and spend some time, you can use the space.
Right. So why this activity is regarding a thinking process that I want all of you to have about. When we talk about offices, we are not just focusing on work desks, right? Or meeting rooms. I want all of you to start thinking that anything, you see something in a playground, think of it. How can that make something interesting inside an office? You go to a hotel, you go to a swimming pool, you go to a water park. It could be any place, and how a theme or like the bottom one, a lot of people like this one. So it's like a tent, right? It's like camping. So inside the office, it's not just about bringing in a theme, right? But you're making it functional, you're giving them privacy. Somebody wants to have a private meeting, can drop the curtain, use the space for a private meeting, right? I'm just giving you examples here. Like this is an amalgamation of different kind of workspaces inside the office, different kind of look and feel, color palette, different use of materials, bringing in greenery, bringing in natural light, every possibility of a workplace that you can have. So your thinking should not stop at that. If you're doing a workplace design, you're talking about just workstations or tables and chairs, right? So the variety is unlimited, and you are designing the future here. So don't stop yourself. This is the exercise that I wanted you to understand and explore. I mean, this is not, this is just a starting point for all of you guys, I believe. Do get into the field, try and explore the field of workplace design, and tell me something. Come on, I gave you a lot of glimpse into this whole aspect. What do you guys think about? Has it changed? Did you know about it, or has it changed your perspective? Do you think it's a nice career option? Somebody should talk about that as well before we end this.
So I think Afrin is going to speak about that.
Great, let's hear.
Afrin, can we hear you? What do you think about this as a career option?
Hi, ma'am. Hello.
Hi, Afreen.
Actually, I had the problem in my audio, so I couldn't respond that time.
You're
We
clear
can
now.
hear you now.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I feel that, yeah, it's a good field to try on. I feel that workspace should be designed in a way that it should be it should be creative and helpful for the people working in it to work like peacefully, and should have a good environment.
Right, right.
And I feel, yeah, that's a good field to try. We'll have many opportunities as many workspace will be coming up.
Yes.
Hmm.
So it will be a good field to try, ma'am.
That's true. And to add to that, the a very good plus point about workplace is that this is a global market, right? So if you know how to design an office in India, you can design it anywhere, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Yes,
it's more about people and culture than it's about, because when it is architecture or a residence, the design, the theme changes from place to place. But here it's more about the company. So it's you can if you can work anywhere in the world if you
yes,
are
ma'am.
into this
Yes,
field.
ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I had to for all of you today. I hope I have given you the right sort of idea towards this field. I really have enjoyed working, and let me tell you something more that I really love about this workplace design is these projects are very fast paced. The aspect I have only covered the design and planning aspect of workplace design here, but there's also the building out phase of when you after the designing, the spaces have to be built, and we are actively part of the build spaces as well, executing these projects. Like when you design, you have to get that built, right? So it's a very fast paced project. We do millions of lakhs of square feet, right? But it happens in a span of 3 months, 4 months, the space is ready. You complete a project, you can complete so many projects in a 1 year time. It adds to your portfolio. So it's another advantage of doing workplace design. Yeah, so that's all from me. Anybody, any questions for me? I'm happy to answer.
I think we can open for Q&A. I'm sure you should be having some
Yeah,
doubts or some suggestions.
let's stop sharing. Would like to
Yeah,
hear people.
you can see them. Yeah, so all of you can on your camera and come. Yes, Ibtisam, Arun, Shilka, Huda.
I think I have some questions also here. Let me. I am reading a question that says that green wall, how hard it is to maintain in an office space. So yes, we do a lot of green wall spaces, and especially these days, with the technology that we have now, it is a thing that needs to be maintained, but it wouldn't be hard. So basically, what is done is the wall is built with an inbuilt dripping system. So there's a piping system that will be fitted, which has a water supply, and it will also have a pump for draining it out. You will also need a drain at the end and a way to take that water out. So it's possible. You can do it with a pump that the lifting station will take the the wastewater up to the ceiling, above the false ceiling. With other services, you can take it out to the toilet shaft or any shaft where you can take the water out, or you can do a core cut to the floor and take the water down and through the ceiling of the below floor that you can take it to the shaft. So you need to basically do the watering of the plant, which is automatic. The housekeeping people can just operate it on and off, and the plants are taken care of. The other thing is these are installed by the vendors who install these. They do AMC. They take it as an AMC. They will regularly do if the plants are damaged, they will change it. They will change the pots. They will see whether it's being watered regularly. So they'll come in, say, every twice in a month and do the AMC when you give them the AMC. So can be well maintained, really adds a lot of life. Rather than adding any artificial plant, I would say do think of adding green plants. There's, apart from this green wall where you're actually putting plants, there's a moss wall also, which is like a moss, real moss, which is used to stick, and you don't need any watering for that. So that's a little low maintenance, but environmentally, I would say green wall, the actual live plants are better for the environmental sake. So yeah, I just had one question. Anybody else can ask me. Type it if you're not able to unmute or any reason.
No more questions? People are looking a little blank. What happened?
Yeah, I wonder people understood, enjoyed.
Yeah, had some confusion or difficulty in understanding. Is this somebody says I've got trouble with net? Okay, but I think you can speak at least. This is all about workplace design, something which you're going to do once you finish your studies. It's not just residence what you're going to do, right?
Okay, there is one question I'm getting. It says, ma'am, how did you come to this field? Can you show some of your designs? So very interesting question about me coming into this field. This was a fluke. I wasn't aware of this the way you guys are studying, and I'm telling you about this workplace design. I come from architecture background, and I have done masters in urban design, which has got nothing to do with interior design. But as an opportunity, I worked in a firm just after passing out, where they were doing both architecture and office spaces, and designing or workplace design they were doing. What I loved about it was I finished a project in 3 months time. My first project I finished and delivered in 3 months time. It coming from an architecture and planning background, I had to plan a 60,000 square feet space, which for me, as coming from also having the urban design background for studies, it's about designing large spaces. It's about having urban design tells us about how public spaces are supposed to be, how important public interactions are supposed to be. And a workplace is nothing but, till date, I was thinking that, urban design is different and interior office workplace design is different. But I have been wrong all this time, because in urban design, you're designing outside places, and here I'm designing indoor spaces. But it's again for the people, where people need to socialize, they need to interact, all of these things. So my studies have been a very good backup for that. But yeah, I did not know about it, and it was just a fluke. I got into this, I did my project, the first project, and I realized I love it. I did try out I took a break from workplace design to really work on urban design, do large scale township or large scale communities planning also. But yes, I really loved working. Like I said, the other reason is you get international clients. I am not able to show you right now some of these projects, but you can Google them and see the pictures of these projects. I have completed more than 10 worked with more than 10 clients, I would say. Some of the famous companies would be mostly in the IT and tech industry. In Hyderabad, I've been working for last 4 years. So ServiceNow, EPAM. ServiceNow is a cloud-based cloud platform company headquartered in Santa Clara. And the Hyderabad office is almost, it's more than 2 lakh square feet project. Then there is EPAM is also a technology-based company. It's an software engineering company, basically. Then I have worked for Eastman Chemicals, which is a 100-year-old company. They completed 100 years now, and they are into manufacturing of chemicals, basically, that is used in like day-to-day everything, right from plastic to lot of things. So all these companies have their offices in Hyderabad, which which I have had the opportunity to, meet the people, ask their requirement, what they look forward for in their spaces, and then, that workplace strategy, interviews, interactions, workshops with them. And then we have designed these spaces for them. I will try and share some pictures with ma'am so that anybody who's interested can look at these spaces as well. Some more companies to name, if you would know, Verizon is a telecom company, leading telecom company of US. So they have their back office here in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad has a lot of these back offices, the support, IT support that is provided to these companies. These companies are here in India and mostly in Hyderabad. So yes, some of those. Bangalore, I did Tech Mahindra. Bangalore, I've worked for a very short time, and I did Tech Mahindra over there, and Continental, two companies. Continental is a tire company. So yeah, a gamut of industries, I would say, but all of them, they require people to sit and work, collaborate, discuss. So and I have evolved from designing the basic workplace workstations to now thinking out of the box. I've evolved with the industry, the way industry has evolved. How you come to the thought that you should specialize in the particular section of design? Yeah, that question to answer, I did not specialize, I did not do a formal education. You will not get a formal education for specializing in workplace design. Though internationally, there are very few institutes who offer, I would say, a workplace strategy, where you understand what the workplace requirement or where you see what is the forthcoming trend of a workplace would be. So there are a few courses which was more like a PG course or a vocational course, I would say, but there's no formal education for studying workplace design. As I understand, even when you study interior design, what do we study? We study about materials, we study about a lot of all the how the space, whatever you are studying is the backup you actually require to design this space. It's just the requirement changes, right? Your education is sufficient. Though I come from a different background, we have a lot of interior designers, people like you coming in our offices working. Your education is just enough for entering this field. Any more questions? Happy to answer.
Okay, if you have no more questions, I would want a feedback from few of you on the class. Okay, so at least you need to know like what is that you have got from the class, because it doesn't make any sense just Nivedita speaking and we all just hearing her. So I think if I tell you to speak, you will not. So I'm just calling out a few names which I've noted down. So I want all of you to speak. Okay. Okay, Chandana, you start off.
Hi, ma'am. Today's session was very interesting, and I liked it very much. Design of a workplace is clearly clearly
explained.
Explained by ma'am. I liked it, and I understand how a workplace to be
yes.
Like how you approach, how you
how to plan, and yeah,
you got that idea, right?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, good.
Ma'am, I want to ask a question.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, and there's companies like Apple and Morgan Postal Service in New York, and they contributed a lot of space for environment, to create an environment inside their building around them, like Apple. Majority of the space is for and planting for creating a garden inside their company.
Right.
So what I'm asking and what I want to ask is and whether Indian companies ask for such ideas.
See, here I would say when it comes to workplace design, you have to understand there are two things. One is the when a space in a building there are multiple tenants, and a company leases out a few floors on that, and then there are multiple different companies in that building. So in that space you have to design. Whereas some companies they have land and they will build their own building and the design. So there the architect of the building and all the engineering services and the interior designing, the specialization of workplace designing, all of these have to come together and work. So it will never be, in that case is where it is possible, like what Apple is doing now in the most recent, the new building that they have. It's like a donut shaped building, where the central space is the whole garden, and there's a lot different approach towards that. It's not I would say it cannot be just an interior designing firm doing that, right? So that's a collaboration of different expertise to come together. It's a very interesting fact about that is that the architect has conceived about having a continuous, and the company wanted it like that, a continuous glass facade as tall as it is, should not have any pieces of glass. It should be one single. Now for a company like Apple, they can only have a German company manufacturing glass to manufacture such a huge sheet of glass, transport it to US, right, and get it installed. So it involves a lot of technology. But yes, keep your eyes open to everything that is happening in this field, I'm saying. And I mean, you should aspire to be part of such things, because might be a small person there trying to build a smaller space, but the approach of your thinking is to making it a better living environment, better working environment. That is where it all streams together. So yes, it cannot be one person's or one team job, right? In India, if you ask, yes, in India, like I said, the real estate is abundant, cheaper compared to other places, and that's why. And labor is, the population. We have, our strength is human resources. That is why there are so many. All the technology companies, they have their back offices or the support offices, the IT support, the call centers. All of this is there in India. But if you're doing a back office or IT support, what is the cost you have to see? Would you spend a lot of money in creating a lot of greenery spaces? No, but if there is a company where you're talking highly paid individuals, where your innovativeness is so important, you want people to sit in that chilled environment and think out of the box, right? And somebody working on a phone 24/7, back to back with shifts, your strategy has to change, right? So yeah, a lot of factors to decide that.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. There's a question saying if plants have any scientific or psychological importance. Psychologically more important, I would say. Scientifically, like if you talk about the environment, plants do have the property, the indoor plants, they are considered as they enhance the air quality of the space. And so we use it. But then again, you have to balance it between how much plants would be required to enhance that and how much of maintenance would you be requiring to do that. Because every natural plant, you need to water them, and you can give it to employee and say that you water your own plant, or you need to have a housekeeping team to maintain all the plants. So yes, when we discuss with clients, we encourage them to have a lot of green spaces, because it really makes it very lively. But not everybody is interested to do that maintenance as well. Coming to psychological part, like I said, that is why we encourage, right? If you have the nature coming in, natural light, plants, natural elements used in it, you make the space, people are calmer. And especially in today's pandemic age, when people will have to ultimately go back to office, leaving their cozy homes, their sofas. What do you expect people to come and sit in a very strict environment? You may need to make them psychologically calmer. So yes, plants to play an important role in that.
So Ibtisam, what is your feedback?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
This class was very interesting because, according to me, an office is just having some cabins in with a lot of congested space in just a certain area for us to store everything to work in. And you gave a large idea on it's not just cabins we have nowadays, it's a large area full of free, cozy area with work which we can utilize to work. So it took us to another level actually, according to the design, according to the design we can give to a workspace. Thank you so much. It was a great experience.
Great to know. To add to what you just said about space, remember that even if you have a very small space and a lot of people to be fitted into that space, the density of this, the requirement is very, very high, I would say. You can still think out of the box, right? Don't never think that you need large spaces to create spacious collaborative spaces or something. So do a lot of, if it interests you, go through a lot of these offices, case studies, and you will know how innovative you can be. And you have brighter minds to think out of the box, something that has never been done. You can do that. So thank you.
Well, Kamila, you there? Kamila Nasreen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what do you think about the class you have?
Yeah,
What did you? Yeah.
I have asked the questions in chat because at that time my mic was not working properly.
I saw that. Yes.
Sorry for that.
Do not be
The
sorry.
class, the class was totally different and it was a great experience. Uh, uh, Hello.
Yeah. How was it
Yes, we
different?
can hear you.
As Ibtisam told that later we think that the office was just a space that was just congested with a desk, that people were always bored. My cousins were told that offices were bored to sitting idle work for every day 24 hours. Now happy to know that the office background and spaces are changing to environment friendly for employees. Praying and believing that India could also make employee friendly workspace in future. Praying to more. Thank you, Miss.
Great. So I have also worked only in India as of now. Every spaces that I've designed. So it's been in India. It's coming up. We are no far away from the offices that you saw from images from US. Yeah. But like I said, we were discussing about the space availability or the productivity point of view and every other aspect. But and also I said that however small the space is, you can make it interesting and colorful, joyful for your employees.
Thank you for spending your time. Thank you once more.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Kamila. So Bhavna, you have to say something. Bhavna. Shuchita.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what I learned is what I understood from your seminar is that workspace, what you thought, the color, vibrant, and it's not only the particular thing we think of it, it is of different ways to come up approaching our ideas or views. And it was nice. And you thought about the building laws that we civil engineers only think about buildings laws of sill and lintels, and you thought about how it should be looked or how it should be done, progressed, all those works, and with the different techniques, and everything you not made with the perfections. even though it is important. Like it was nice seminar. It was like,
Great, thank you.
Okay, Shuchita. So Jacqueline is here.
yeah.
Jacqueline,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, speak.
Ma'am, it was a very interesting session. Like, my dad also used to go to office, and he didn't really like the area and all. And I also visited his office, and then it's too open area. Like, people can see what you're doing, and like there is no personal space of what work you do and all. But then, and all those things which you said, like how a certain workplace should be, like how it's very, like comfortable and all. I like the way, and I like the case study which you showed. Yeah, the
Great.
class was also interesting. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Happy. Swapna ma'am, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. So, Reima, you have to say something? Reima?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please. Let's hear you.
Firstly, thank you, ma'am. A very interesting session today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can hear you. You speak. If she has a problem with the mic, she's not hearing. We can hear you, Reima. You can speak. She's confused. Speak. I think she cannot hear.
She cannot hear us, so yeah.
Sharika, you there? Sharika Satar. Some problem. Atira. Atira Krishnan. Yes, Atira, unmute.
Hi.
Yeah.
Good one. Sorry, good afternoon.
Okay.
I'm little sick. I have. That's why I muted the video.
Oh, okay. Feeling better now?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw like if I have corona.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much, first of all, for this useful session. As an interior designing student, really a useful session. Planning. Planning of ഓഫീസ് പ്ലാനിങ് അത്തരം ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷൻസിലേക്ക് വരുമ്പോൾ എംപ്ലോയീസിന്റെ ഒരു മൈൻഡും കാര്യങ്ങളും മൈൻഡ് സെറ്റും ഒക്കെ മനസ്സിലാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടൊരു പ്ലാൻ മുന്നോട്ട് വരാമെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എപ്പോഴും വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഫാക്ടറാണ്. പിന്നെ ഞാൻ പല സ്ഥലത്ത് ഞാൻ വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, പല ഓഫീസുകളിലും ഇപ്പോ എംപ്ലോയീസിന്റെ മെന്റൽ സഫേഴ്സിനെ എല്ലാത്തിനെയും കൺട്രോൾ ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് അവർക്ക് സംസാരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് അവിടെ പലപ്പോഴും ഒരു ആളുണ്ടാവും, ലൈക്ക് കൗൺസിലർ. അപ്പോ അതിനേക്കാൾ ഉപരിയായിട്ട് ബിയോണ്ട് ദാറ്റ് സിറ്റുവേഷൻ അവിടെ നമുക്ക് ക്യാംഫുൾ ആയിട്ടും വളരെ അട്രാക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിൽ നിന്ന് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് തന്നെ സക്സസ്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു റിസൾട്ട് കിട്ടുന്നതിന് ഒരുപാട് ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആവുന്ന എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ഇന്നിപ്പോ മാം കാണിച്ച ഓരോ ഇതിലും ഓരോരോ പോസ്റ്റേഴ്സിലും എല്ലാത്തിലും ഒരുപാട് ഫേമസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള പല ക്ലിക്സും പല കമ്പനികളുടെ ഡിസൈൻസും പലപ്പോഴും സെർച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്ന കൂട്ടത്തിൽ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോ ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി അതും മാം ഒന്നും കൂടി എടുത്ത് കാണിച്ചപ്പോൾ കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഐഡിയ കിട്ടാനായിട്ട് ഒരുപാട് ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്. അധികം സംസാരിക്കുന്നില്ല.
Thanks, Atira. Really good, very good. So you spoke your mind out. So Nivedita, just for your info, what she was telling is it's very nice to see that things are changing now in terms of how office spaces are defined or designed, keeping the employee happiness and all those things in mind. Okay, so so that's what she was ideally. I mean, in a crux, that is what she was trying to convey.
Yes.
Okay, along with the extra, like you have people whom you can talk to in offices to whom you can approach for your problems. Along with that, even the ambience and the workspace, all these things are now changing. It's all becoming employee friendly. So that is what she was talking about. So thanks, Adira, and wish you to get well soon.
Yeah, hope you get a good recovery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So anyone else want to speak? See, you നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മലയാളത്തിലും സംസാരിക്കാം. It is not, there is no problem of talking in any of your languages.
Yeah,
whatever you want
no
to speak.
problem.
So please open up and speak. We just
Ma'am?
want you to speak. Yeah. Yes.
Ma'am, this is Afreen.
Yes, Afreen. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to thank ma'am for this interesting session. Actually, I had no idea that there's a field of workspace in interior designing. So
I'm so happy.
Actually, everything what you showed in the session, like how the workspace should be designed, the requirements of workspace, and how it should be designed in a way that workers working in it shouldn't feel bored to work in the workspace. So it was quite interesting, and I actually liked all the work, everything that you showed in the session, ma'am.
Great. Nice to know. I'm happy you guys have all different takeaways from this session, and I feel happy that everybody's touching about. There's so much in this field, and it's really difficult. But I guess all of you have enjoyed, and it's a pleasure to me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So anyone who is the next person who want to speak? We just want you to interact, because we have to, it cannot be one-sided lecture. Now it's nice, no, when all of you are speaking, എല്ലാവരും കേൾക്കുമ്പം നിങ്ങൾ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ എന്താണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലായത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് more than that നിങ്ങൾ സംസാരിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. So that's why I'm keeping on calling one by one.
Ma'am?
Aisha. Yes, yeah, Sharika. Where were you?
My internet connection was unstable, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session. It was very interesting. Actually, I have worked in a corporate office, but never gave much or never noticed much about the interiors or the spacing arrangement and also the seating, etc. Also, I understood how the meeting rooms are arranged and what their purpose is. It signifies it for different users. Like now I understood it. Like ma'am, I would like to in future, if I'm working in a space, I think I would like to accommodate more plants in the office to provide more greeneries, etc. Ma'am, thank you for the wonderful session.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Arun, it's time for you to speak. Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I thank to ma'am. ഞാൻ ഇതിനു മുമ്പ് ഈ ഗൂഗിളിന്റെ ഇതൊക്കെ ഞാൻ യൂട്യൂബിൽ അടിച്ചു നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ഓഫീസൊക്കെ, മറ്റേ ഗൂഗിളിന്റെ ഓഫീസൊക്കെ. പിന്നെ ഞാൻ ഇന്റീരിയർ ഡിസൈനിങ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കോഴ്സ് സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ കാരണം തന്നെ ഞാൻ നെറ്റ്ഫ്ലിക്സിൽ ഒരുപാട് സീരീസ് ഒക്കെ കാണുമ്പോൾ അവിടുത്തെ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിലൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ ഒരുപാട് വർക്ക് സ്പേസ് ഒക്കെ വളരെ ഇവിടത്തെക്കാളും കമ്പയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ വളരെ വൃത്തിയായിട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഇന്റീരിയർ ഡിസൈനിങ് സെലക്ട് ചെയ്ത് തന്നെ. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് വർക്ക് പ്ലേസിന്റെ ഇത് ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഈ കോഴ്സ് തന്നെ സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ കാരണം.
Okay. So you're going to be a workplace designer like Nivedita, right? So he has chosen interior designer because he saw the difference how workplaces abroad as like when compared to our places, especially hospitals and all the design what we see
Hey,
abroad or be it metros and all. So he will be following you, Nivedita, your path.
great. Happy to know.
Yeah. So take him for internship with you.
Yeah, you guys can just contact me. Anybody who is looking for an internship in any firm, any city you want, just let me know. I'll use up my network to reach out for you guys.
So Nivedita is
Thank you, ma'am.
associated with us from long time, and she will be there for all of you. Okay, so
yes, definitely.
yeah. So we yes. So who else have to speak now? Kirtana, do you want to speak? Kirtana, any of the two Kirtanas, or anyone else? You can speak. Don't. As I told, see, Arun is speaking Malayalam, English, Hindi, whatever.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I could say the class was really interesting because as Itism said that we think that the offices would be like in a cubicle places, in congested places. But right now, after the class, I just understood that there's more different things we have to learn, and different designs and more spaces. Yeah, I just really love the class really much. And I also like
I think losing
network issue.
to work in this place though. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, we could hear a little bit of what you were speaking. Anyway, thanks, Shadia. I think network
Okay,
is
ma'am.
pretty bad. Yeah, pretty bad. Okay. Yeah. So anyone else want to speak? Sharon, Fatima, Wafa, Kritika, Princey. Sneha, Anjita, Hamda, Shazana. Anybody wants to speak, or I think we can wind up. What do you say? Okay, I think all of them are getting hungry
I
now.
think they're hungry now. Yeah.
Princey is calling. Yes, Princey, you have something to say? I think she has a network issue, and that's why she doesn't want to speak. Okay. Okay, so fine. So it was like almost 2 hours, Nivedita.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed this 2 hours interacting with everybody. It's really a joy for me. Thank you so much, Swapna ma'am, also for
Yes. So we look
this.
forward to having more interactions like this. Maybe we can.
Sure.
They will speak. Okay, a little bit of starting trouble comes sometimes. Okay.
No problem. That's okay. I'm sure they will get comfortable with me if we do more of these. And I would like to know from students what they want to learn so that, next time if I'm presenting something, it would be more towards their interest. We
Yeah,
can
you can suggest
deep
topics.
dive into this. Yes.
Yes. You can come to me with topics. We can. I'll go to Nivedita. And we can have, more topics which is of your interest, which we can hear from her, and we can interact. More than classes, it's always better if we can interact.
Yes.
So it is nice. So Nivedita, so thank you so much, and it was a very good session. Then what? And it is like simple, like how you are. Okay.
It's completely my pleasure.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I already started getting one is acoustic design. Shuchita's they are giving you
Okay, topics. Great. Yeah, I'll list down some of them, and yes, we can have a session again.
okay. So thanks a lot. So what else? Sheetal? No, Sheetal is okay. I cannot see Sheetal here. Okay, so I think so we can call it a day then. So so students, thank you so much, and on behalf of all of you, okay, all at Central Bay, yeah, even though you are also part of Central Bay, Nivedita,
Yes.
from all of us for this 2 hours which are spent for the good of our students, as well as there could be some more people who are also watching this, who are prospective students or even others. Okay, so thanks from our end for this wonderful session and the interaction. Okay, interaction. What you have done with them. So let's meet again soon with you and all of you. So Princey says, yeah, Princey is putting her points there. We got something new to learn, new thoughts. Employees can also enjoy with their workspace. Yeah, so that's a new thought. Yes, and you are the people who have to design such workspaces which where employees will enjoy working.
Yeah, and you will have fun designing such spaces.
Yes, yes, yes. So students, so next class, as always, Monday, 10:45, all of us will meet at the same link, same Zoom. Okay, so till then, finish off all your assignments, whatever has been given. So, okay, yeah. So Abin, I'll come back to you on your question. So thank you so much. So bye-bye and have a good lunch and go back to your workspace. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye.